Why living alone is so expensive. Living alone used to be seen as a milestone. It meant independence, freedom, your own space, your own rules. But today, living alone feels less like a lifestyle choice and more like a luxury. More people want to live alone than ever before. At the same time, fewer people can actually afford it. So what changed? Why is living alone becoming so expensive? The first reason is simple. You're paying for everything yourself. When two people live together, costs are shared. Rent is split. Utilities are split. Internet is split. But when you live alone, you carry the entire financial burden. That means your housing cost instantly doubles compared to sharing. And housing is already the biggest expense for most people, so living alone amplifies the most expensive part of life. The second reason is that housing prices have risen faster than incomes. Rent has increased in many cities over the past decade. Home prices have also surged, but wages didn't rise at the same pace. So even if you earn more than before, housing now takes a bigger portion of your income. And when you live alone, that pressure becomes even stronger. Instead of paying half the rent, you pay all of it. That difference changes everything. The third reason is fixed costs don't scale down. A one-bedroom apartment isn't half the price of a two-bedroom. In many cities, the difference is surprisingly small. You might pay 80% of the cost for half the space. So living alone doesn't just mean smaller space, it means worse value. And the same applies to utilities. Electricity, internet, heating, and water don't drop proportionally. Some costs remain almost the same whether one person lives there or two, so the cost per person rises dramatically. Another reason living alone is expensive is duplication. When you live with others, you share items, one fridge, one couch, one TV, one kitchen. When you live alone, you need everything yourself: furniture, appliances, kitchen supplies, cleaning tools. The startup cost of living alone becomes huge. Even before paying rent, you're already spending thousands, and those costs add up quickly. There's also something called the single person premium. Many services are designed for households, not individuals. Groceries are packaged for families. Subscriptions assume multiple users. Bulk buying saves money. But living alone makes bulk wasteful, so you end up paying more per unit. You buy smaller portions, but at higher prices. Over time, that difference becomes significant. Food is one of the biggest examples. Cooking for one person is inefficient. Ingredients expire before you use them. You either waste food or eat the same thing repeatedly. Many people living alone order takeout more often. That increases costs even further. So food becomes more expensive simply because you live alone. Another factor is location. People who live alone often choose smaller apartments in central areas, closer to work, closer to city life. But city centers are expensive. So living alone often means paying a premium for convenience. Meanwhile, people sharing apartments can afford better locations together. That creates a gap. Living alone limits your options. You either pay more or move far away. And moving far away creates other costs: longer commutes, more transportation, less time. So even cheaper rent can lead to higher overall expenses. There's also the issue of financial safety. When you live alone, there's no backup. If you lose your job, there's no one splitting rent. If expenses rise, there's no one sharing the burden. That means you need a bigger financial cushion. And building that cushion is harder because your expenses are already high. So living alone increases both costs and risk. Another reason living alone feels expensive is lifestyle inflation. When you live alone, you often spend more on convenience. Food delivery, streaming services, cleaning services, Small comforts replace shared social living. Those small costs add up. You might not notice them individually, but over time, they increase your monthly expenses. There's also a social factor. Living alone can reduce shared activities. You don't split groceries, you don't share meals, you don't share entertainment, so spending becomes more individual. And individual spending is usually higher. Another reason is utilities don't scale efficiently. Heating one apartment for one person costs almost the same. Internet plans don't get cheaper for single users. Insurance costs don't have. So per person cost increases. This makes living alone structurally more expensive. There's also the housing supply issue. Most cities were designed around families, not single person households. But today, more people are living alone than ever before. That creates demand for small apartments. And when demand rises, prices rise. So the market itself makes living alone expensive. Developers often build luxury studios instead of affordable ones because smaller units generate higher profit per square meter. So single person housing becomes premium housing. Another factor is income structure. Single households rely on one income. Shared households rely on two. Even if both earn average salaries, the shared household has more flexibility, more savings, more cushion, more options. Single households don't have that, so financial pressure feels stronger. And finally, there's the hidden cost of independence. Living alone gives freedom, but freedom often costs money. You control everything, but you also pay for everything. There's no cost sharing, no risk sharing, no built-in financial support. That's why living alone is becoming expensive. Not because one thing changed, but because everything adds up. Higher rent, shared costs disappearing, inefficient spending, single-person premiums, higher risk, and slower income growth, all combined into one reality. Living alone isn't just about independence anymore. It's about affordability. And for many people, that balance is getting harder every year. If you found this video interesting, make sure to subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.